The World of Work Inventory, or WOWI, is the first empirically based, fully integrated, multidimensional career assessment. How much choice do people have in selecting their careers? When I was a kid, I was fascinated by dinosaurs. I could say and spell all the names, and I wanted nothing more than to be a paleontologist. But the truth is, my love of dinosaurs came out of what I was exposed to. We see this all the time. Generations of firefighters and educators following what their families have done professionally for generations. Career choices shared amongst groups of friends. Careers chosen by what's available in any given community. People don't actually know about what most jobs require. Research by George Gerbner and his associates changed the way we look at things. The common misconception was always that people develop a more nuanced and mature understanding of careers. Gerbner's expectation was that children would have a more unrealistic view of work. Adolescents would have a more realistic perspective, and adults even more so. Gerbner analyzed their studies and found there's no significant differences in children's, adolescents, and adults' understanding of work. But they were extremely confident about their answers. Where were people getting their information? Gerbner and Gross noticed an individual's understanding of work correlated significantly with something else almost perfectly. Their descriptions matched to what people saw in the media. When CSI was incredibly popular, I noticed so many people wanted to be forensic scientists. It was uncanny how an entire career-facing culture's aspirations matched up to their weekly TV binging. Before the Industrial Revolution, people had very few choices for work. Once the Industrial Revolution hit, things exploded, and there were more ways to get involved with a wealth of job opportunities that had never existed before. With the advent of World War I, the military was interested in finding the right person for the right job. They realized placing people in the wrong job could mean life or death. Measures taken were performance-based and employed questions like, do you have the physical strength for a job working with machinery? They also looked at an individual's intelligence. Vocational guidance emerged in the 1920s, which measured interests. This gave people choice, but the depth and scope of the assessment was seriously limited. It wasn't until around the late 1920s and early 1930s that researchers identified three predominant factors to be minimally necessary for a good person job fit. What kind of work would you like to do looks into what tasks motivate your client, their attitudes about work, and the job duties they are most interested in. How do you like to work looks into a person's personality, work-related values, and work styles. Are you able to do the work? Looks at ability, achievements, aptitudes, and skills. The federal government accelerated this process, mandating the study and classification of all jobs to establish fair wages and provide information for people to develop education and training programs. Following this mandate, the Department of Labor released the first edition of the Dictionary of Occupational Titles, or DOT, in 1939. This resource focused on the skills and interests related to many occupations. The second edition, released 10 years later, expanded to incorporate more data, including work styles. From 1958 to 1963, a researcher from the University of Iowa, Dr. Robert Ripley, was hired as a consultant for the development of the third edition of the DOT. During this period, he traveled the United States surveying the similarities and differences in the rapidly changing world of work. Based on his observations, Ripley concluded that there was a need for a more comprehensive career assessment. WOWI was the first and only career assessment program to be developed directly from the Department of Labor database as a fully integrated multidimensional assessment. Originally named the Career Choice Inventory, or CCI, by Ripley, this assessment was renamed WOWI, the World of Work Inventory, in 1973 to take advantage of terminology being used by the Department of Labor. The WOWI has 6 scales to measure aptitudes and achievements, 12 scales to measure preferred work style, and 17 scales to measure interests, which help people find something they will truly love and enjoy, something that will reward them for life. WOWI helps people find careers they love. This comes from a unique perspective. First, someone is not necessarily good at something just because they like it. For example, I love to sing, but I am not good at it. As a matter of fact, I've been asked to stop singing. The second assumption is even if someone is good at something, they won't necessarily enjoy doing it. At work, my boss compliments my attention to detail and asks me to complete payroll. I hate working with numbers. The final assumption is just because someone is good at something and likes to do it does not mean they have the personality for it. Here's a perfect example. Would you want someone who hates stress and pressure to work in an emergency room? Today, this wonderful process is online. In 1998, O-Net replaced the DOT and linked career recommendations directly to O-Net online job information since 2000, giving people unprecedented reach from all walks of life looking for the perfect career. In 2007, we developed the version for people who use the JAWS screen reader. And in 2017, the WowWee was formatted for mobile applications to match the needs of users. More people find it convenient to use tablets and smartphones for career assessments. As technology continues to evolve, WowWee continues to embrace these changes, to adapt and innovate moving forward as a leader of the industry. After realizing that I wasn't going to be a paleontologist, I changed my focus. After taking the WowWee career assessment myself, I saw just how important working with people and creating an incredibly fulfilling payoff was to my heart. When we help people find fulfillment in their careers, that's an unbelievable payoff that can impact lives all over the world. Let's get started and look how you can help people change their lives and find fulfilling careers with WowWee.